Hello and welcome, I'm Maggie Lee. Gartner recently estimated that by the start of 2008, around 50% of current data centers will have insufficient power and cooling capacity to meet the demands of high-density equipment. And with the life cycle costs of running a data center now typically exceeding initial capital expenditure, power management is set to come under closer scrutiny. So with organizations demanding more for less, what steps can CIOs take to deliver more computing capacity without increasing energy consumption? I'm joined in the studio by Phil Andrews, who leads the development of Cisco's European data center strategy, and Finlay MacLeod, head of BT's Worldwide Transformation Project, who joins us from BT Centre. Finlay, if I could start with you, what prompted BT to act, and what are you actually doing?
BT is focused on reducing its energy costs. It's reducing its carbon footprint by 80% by the year 2016. We consume typically 0.8% of the UK's electrical energy supply, so we've got an obligation to reduce our carbon footprint and our energy consumption and thereby reduce our energy costs. So what we're doing in our existing legacy estate is upgrading it, making sure we're using energy efficient mechanical and electrical equipment. And what we're also doing is building out new capacity, which is more energy efficient than our legacy estate. So therefore, it's capable of taking new technology that's coming along, and it's actually fit for purpose. What we're also doing is using virtualization, consolidation of our data center space, and we're looking at energy efficient uses of technology to lower our cost base.
Phil, although the term virtualization is relatively new in IT speak, Cisco has in fact been developing technologies to help data centers and networks become more efficient for many years. What's the best way an organization can actually engage with virtualization?
I think an organization has to have a clear strategy, because what virtualization does, it looks at sharing resources across multiple departments and multiple operations, which means you need to have a strategy for the people, and a strategy for the equipment, and a strategy for the software technology. And that needs to be led top down, because if you just do server virtualization, the rest of the data center won't be able to keep up with your flexible, highly efficient servers. You need to be looking at the end-to-end data center strategy on virtualization. So that covers storage, appliances, and I think Finlay's team have been in this position and looked very carefully at this as part of their own strategy.
Finlay, I know that you discovered a lot of the assumptions that you made about the environment needed to support data centers were in fact myths. Can you give us a few examples of those?
One of the myths we have found is that data centers need to operate between 20 and 25 degrees C. We've found, working with our vendors, is that we are in a position now to use equipment and run it maybe up to 30 degrees C. And what we've found to date is that it's having no detrimental effect on the infrastructure or the services that it provides. So therefore, we're making significant savings on energy costs. The use of fresh air cooling in data centers affecting equipment because of its non-sterile nature, we found that not to be the case. So therefore, a combination of increasing the temperature in the data center and using fresh air supplies is saving us significant amounts of money in energy costs.
Phil, as the pressure on organizations to go green or to become more sustainable intensifies, what changes and projects can we expect to see implemented?
Well, I think the project scope is going to have, firstly, a factor about power and green for any project. And the second thing is people are going to look at the efficiency of the use of the resources, because the way data centers have been built, typically you've bought new resources for every project, where the rest of the resources you've already got are probably 10 or 15% utilized. So I think people will be looking at what resources can I share, what power will I want to add incrementally to add for this new functionality into the data center or this new project, and what can I do to make sure I measure and meet those objectives. I think that's going to be a very clear part of the next generation of IT projects.
And finally, Finlay, if I could ask you first, what impact do you think a downturn in the economy will have on change initiatives?
I don't see any downturn in the economy affecting what we're doing. We have already planned ahead as part of our corporate social responsibility to reduce our carbon footprint by 80% by the year 2016. What we're also doing is consolidating, virtualizing, and increasing our ability to support the business across our data center estate.
Phil, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the return on investment is going to be critical. And if we look at the typical data center and the projects you get in the data center, if you can get more out of the existing technology that you've got and you can pay less for power and pay less for space, any project that will support those goals, which will automatically reduce cost and it will reduce carbon footprint, will get a green light from finance directors. So consolidation, virtualization, you could save millions of dollars with these kind of initiatives. And when you look at power as being €1 million a megawatt, saving a megawatt year is worth €1 million every year. And it's not going to get cheaper.
Finlay and Phil, thank you very much indeed. In our third podcast, we'll be discussing what considerations you should make if you're building a new data centre and how best to design it to be as power efficient as possible. Till then, goodbye.